Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of this beautiful country that you're in. Welcome to Rebel Roundup. It was a daily show, then a weekly show, and then we're just sort of sprinkling it throughout the week as we figure things out here. I'm your host, Sheila Gunreed, and I'm joined by my co-host, not David Menzies, Drea Humphrey. Drea, how's it going?
Good. I feel like I should call you Sheila the She-Devil.
Don't you dare.
Menzies does it way better. No, I'm doing good. It's a nice morning out here, and I'm happy to be back on the live stream. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I'm glad. I'm glad we get to talk about the news of the day, unscripted, and sort of react to it the same way that our viewers will react to us talking about it. Because sometimes I'm flying a little bit blind. My mornings are a little bit full, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, by the way, you have to do the live stream." So then I jump on and then I do the live stream. But I should tell everybody what we're doing here before we start talking about the news of the day. So as I said, this used to be a daily show, then it was a weekly show, and now we're trying it out throughout the week because there's so much news and we want to talk about it with you. And that's the beauty of the live stream. We get to talk about it with each other, but also with you, because if you are still watching us on YouTube, thank you for that. But might I suggest you move over to a platform that is not censorious, doesn't care about your political opinions, and lets you speak your mind. But it also does something else. Our friends at Rumble also allow you to help us pay the bills here at Rebel News because, as you know, we've been completely demonetized by the censorship platform of YouTube. So if you want to get involved in the show and have your say and support us, three great things. If you're over on Rumble, you can leave a paid chat. It's called a Rumble rant. If it is over the $5 US minimum, I'm hereby obligating myself and my friend Drea to read your comment on air and respond to it. But don't let that be the bar for entry because frequently we read chats that are under that US minimum or even free. So those are the rules. Get chatting, get talking, get engaged, and we will get talking about the news of the day. Now, big news, win for free speech, win for accountability, and a win for transparency. And Drea, you really led the charge. Now, there are some things that you can talk about and some things you can't talk about. So I'm going to let you take the lead and tell us about the court victory wherein you had some publication bans lifted thanks to support of our viewers at home. So tell us how you did that.
Well, many of our viewers and many people in general, especially if you live in British Columbia, are aware of the name Jonathan Yaniv, the menace to society, a rabid trans activist who now goes by Jessica Simpson. And we have
Serenity.
And
the
poor Jessica
irony
Simpson.
There. Yeah,
well,
right.
And poor pop star Jessica Simpson,
Yeah.
If you don't know, we have a special website called yanivtrial.com. But this individual has gotten away. You and I would be locked up for good if we'd done some of the stuff and then some. I mean, whether it's sexually inappropriate with minors, whether it's brandishing an illegal weapon for millions to see on a very popular YouTube channel, Blair White, whether it's bodily harm to billboard or threatening bodily harm. Like the list goes on. So
smacking David Menzies. Let's not
Oh yeah.
like assaulting David Menzies, attacking Kian Bexty, charging at me. Thankfully, I had security with me. You know, being menacing towards you. Like the idea that this person is just trying to sick a dog on you.
Exactly. A service dog, which
I'll let you go on. Sorry.
Well, I don't know.
Quiet.
Yeah, maybe we'll show a clip or something for those who haven't seen. But the fact that we just went through this list and this individual has never gotten jail time for any of that, that's what this story is really about. It's the fact that the courts have been so lenient on this violent person who even is known as the wax my balls guy because he destroyed immigrant women's businesses because he would surprise them as a male and they wouldn't want to shave her male genitalia. So no jail time for this individual. And now we find out we can't even report on this individual because they were able to manipulate the courts into believing that they needed to be protected from the public's eyes while they were being a menace within the judicial system. So we have been working on fighting publication bans, gag orders, that were not only preventing us from reporting on Yaniv's latest attack on a autistic journalist named Donald Smith, but preventing us from pointing out what's actually happening in the court system. When you say, hey, I'm a victim of transphobia, it seems as though all justice goes out the window. So finally, that is starting to come to an end. So I want people to really grasp how important that is. We got a judge in 2024 to remove the publication ban, the order saying, hey, you have to refer to this person as X instead of Jessica Simpson, and sealing everything that was in the courts in this most recent case that I'm going to be reporting on, sealing that all because the person is claiming that their life is at risk for things like transphobia. And we actually got a judge today in Left Coast, or not today, 2 days ago, in Left Coast, BC, to say, no, this is not okay. I think the exact words that Justice Chan used was that Simpson ought not to be able to litigate in privacy and secrecy. And she sided with Rebel News and removed all of the gag orders pertaining to this situation with Yaniv and Donald Smith. That is huge in today's society. It's a really big win.
It's a huge win, and only to be done by Rebel News. The mainstream media are completely disinterested in this person. They will out and dox old people, grandmas, for supporting the Freedom Convoy, right? Let's remember that. They went after people for supporting the Freedom Convoy. If you gave a $20 Tim Hortons gift card to a trucker, you were a terrorist, according to the mainstream media. But they turned a complete and total blind eye to this walking crime spree menace, violent individual, simply because of that person's adopted identity. And so this was left completely up to Rebel News to lift the veil and the shroud of secrecy, because Jonathan Yaniv should not be able to do what he does in secrecy. He basically at this point is completely emboldened and does whatever he wants. Good on this judge for showing people and adhering to the concept that for justice to be done, it must be seen and it must be transparent.
Well, and I believe that this can set some sort of precedent, because I'm telling you, every time I cover a case that involves anything to do with the trans situation, I say trans rights, all human rights, because that's when I see the most publication bans come into place. The doctors performing surgery on these children after 48 hours of discussion, they claim that they need to have their names done in secret. They're making all this money sterilizing and mutilating children. We're not allowed to tell you their names because they claim they're at risk. Now we have a judge saying, despite all of these claims, no, the public needs to know. So I think that this could really be impactful in upcoming cases as well. And that's why it's so important, And anybody who agrees, I just want to point out, again, we had to do this in secret. We could not talk about it. We could not crowdfund for it. We could not ask for any donations. We had to take a leap of faith. We understood how important this is for the public, for free press, for the judicial system. So we went ahead, we paid a $5,000 retainer. That's over and above the security costs. It costs every time I go to the courthouse to cover this individual who's assaulted our journalists, multiple, went after Sheila too, and threatened to harm me with their dog. So we have security expenses, but $5,000 just to go ahead and say, we're going to take on these publication bans, even though it's a David and Goliath type fight, because they're claiming their victims as transphobia. And we took it on. So I think we're getting close to halfway of recouping that. It would be great if we don't have to eat that cost. And anybody watching, whatever you can afford to chip in, please go to yanivtrial.com and help us out with that, because this, I think it's a huge win.
It's an absolute huge win. I'm actually kind of shocked. But I remember when you're like, you posed it in a staff meeting, you said, hey, there are these publication bans. I need to report on this. What can we do? And Ezra was like, we fight them. That's what we do.
Yeah,
like it didn't, he was kind of excited at the prospect of fighting a publication ban and winning. And normally when there are publication bans in place on high profile trials, there's the media consortium, as they call themselves. Let's call them the media cabal. Sometimes they all get together and they all get together to fight a publication ban. That didn't happen this time. They didn't want anybody to know anything about this. This is all up to you. And this is all something that you did behind the scenes with the lawyers to try to get this done. So hats off to you for working hard for transparency.
I just want to say a couple of other things. So what am I doing now? So yeah, I've been slapped with, oh my gosh, you guys, I've been slapped with over, I think, 30 now freshly unsealed affidavits of all these claims that were put forth by Simpson against, again, this autistic journalist. I don't know if we have a picture or image. We should show. He's a great photographer. His name is Donald Smith. And Donald Smith has spent 39 days in jail. I believe it was the year 2019 and then carried over to 2020. 39 days in jail because of claims from Yaniv that Smith had been criminally harassing Yaniv. And so 39 days in jail, and then he still gets arrested. So after that happened, Donald has always said, I did not do those online claims. Those are not me. The belief is perhaps this could be Simpson that's going ahead and making up these fake accounts. Anyways, there's a fake Twitter account that went up in my name, mentioning picking cotton and tampons. This is the type of language Yaniv really does often. He's racist as well. So, but anyways, my point is Donald keeps getting these attacks now that he's trying to move on with his life, saying, I was innocent. I never should have been jailed. This was just an attack with Yaniv. Simpson has gone to the BC courts, and that's what I'm going through, and tried to get him back in prison for the same thing. This time, Justice Chan said, you know what? I'm not buying it. I'm dismissing this. And Justice Chan actually pointed to our case with Yaniv, where Yaniv tried to sue us with a bogus lawsuit, and said, you know, that after reading through the Rebel News case, the court has reservations that maybe we shouldn't have put out the warrant for the most recent arrest that poor Donald had, and had to spend another night in jail. So this autistic journalist keeps going to jail because of claims that Yaniv is making that the courts have entertained. This is serious. And so again, yanivtrial.com is the site where we try to keep up with this individual, but most importantly, where we try to inform the public that this kangaroo court situation, when there is a violent predator who identifies as a trans person.
You know, and where's the protection for somebody like Donald? He's a vulnerable individual. Let's be honest here. He's a vulnerable individual. He does his best. But for this to continue to happen to him. Thankfully, he does have an advocate named Carrie Simpson who works really hard to help him navigate the system.
Absolutely.
But where are the protections and safeguards for him? It feels like there are none, that you can just make an allegation up against a vulnerable person and then that vulnerable person will be imprisoned. It's outlandish and bizarre and quite frightening, actually.
And I know I said one more thing, but there is new news on this area because it never ends. You mentioned Carrie Simpson. She's been such a help to Smith and exposing as well Yaniv. And so she's still working on things. But I just saw Billboard Chris. Most of you watching know Billboard Chris. So Yaniv was convicted of uttering threats of harm to Billboard Chris. And I shared a link. Did you guys get the link?
Yes, there it is.
Okay, so Billboard Chris has announced that Yaniv has breached the conditions by discussing Chris Elston, Billboard Chris. So there's the post. And so I believe today Chris Elston is also going to be calling the RCMP. That's what he said last night. And so we might have some new criminal charges coming on. There's a video there. Let's show that video for an example.
Yeah, this is wild.
Get away from my car. What do you not understand?
You gotta back it up a bit. Back it up at the beginning. Oh, we got swears. Maybe not.
I will fucking kill you. You're gonna send another bomb threat to my phone? I'm watching you. Get away from my car. Get away from my car. What do you not understand, you fucking asshole? Get away from my car. You want to call another bomb threat in? Yeah.
There's no bomb threat.
There you go.
Billboard Chris is not threatening.
You want to get punched, don't you? Go away. Go away from my car. I need police for language, please.
So anyways, it's never ending. More to come. Yeah. I'm on the beat. We're going to continue exposing, and I think the walls are finally closing in.
Couldn't happen to a nicer dude. Like, there's a lot of obvious, like, I don't like to use the word toxic masculinity, but I see some there. Yeah. I see some still there. By the way, that takes us into our message from a sponsor here. If you're one of those people who use the phrase toxic masculinity, which I just did, because you're intimidated by real men who embrace their primal instincts, you should probably turn this off right now. Literally. As a man, you're the rock people depend on, a shoulder to cry on, a fighter, a lover, a protector to many. We at Rumble created Be Naked, a brand that celebrates manhood and champions masculinity. Men with real balls that share our enthusiasm for clean, non-woke, and agenda-free products dedicated to helping you dominate every challenge life throws at you. Because we all know that life will always test us, push us, and challenge us. So when life kicks you and you need to kick back harder, you need to tap into that primal strength. That's why you need our supplement, Naked Organs. Our signature product will help you unleash your inner beast. Naked Organs come from the purest and strongest animals on earth, the fearless bison. It's nature's multivitamin powerhouse, delivering endless energy, regulating hormone health, boosting testosterone, and enhancing muscle recovery with natural creatine. Go to Be Naked right now and pick up some Naked Organs to embrace your manhood. That's benaked.com/studio and use the coupon code STUDIO to save 15% off your first subscription order. Celebrate being a man, getting healthy, living naked, and putting your hard-earned dollars towards supporting freedom-loving creators like me on Rumble, not the woke mob. I got to tell you, I ate like a quarter of a bison one year by myself. It was in the freezer. It was in the freezer, and I would take out like a ground bison every day, a little bit, and then pretty soon I had eaten the whole thing by myself. But I never felt better. Exactly. We've got a Rebel News ad break, and then we'll get into some I guess it's terrorism, anti-Semitism related stories, the just normal day in Canada stuff.
Hi Hi, everybody. As you know, every year we do a fundraiser for Rebel News that's super fun. It's a Rebel News cruise. We all go on a cruise ship together. We have dinner with each other. We have seminars when the ship's at sea, like Q&A sessions. And the rest of the time is your own. It's a vacation. It's a way to connect with other Rebel News enthusiasts. It's a way to check in with me and Sheila Gunn-Reid and Drea Humphrey and David Menzies. Tons of Rebels are on the trip, and at the end of the day, it's a way to keep Rebel News strong because there's a little extra added to the cost, which is how we float the boat here at Rebel News. It's a fundraiser. Here's the next Rebel News cruise in case you've always wanted to go on one. It sets sail out of Vancouver June 18th, 2025. It's a week-long, June 18th to 2025, and it's Vancouver to Alaska. So it's a lot easier to get to than a Caribbean cruise where you have to fly to Florida to set sail. Starts in Vancouver, where I'll greet you, Sheila, David, Alexa Lavoie, Drea Humphrey. It's a super fun trip. I've done it before. We go to Skagway, which is where the gold rush started. We go to Glacier National Park, which is as beautiful as it sounds. Go to rebelnewscruise.com to learn more, to check the pricing, and to book your cabin. Just let me rattle off some of the details of the places we're going. It's called the Alaska Inside Passage Cruise. If you know what that means, you go up right along the coast. It's on Holland America, so it's nice. It's the MS Zandam. That's the name of the ship. Obviously, we start off in Vancouver, next the Tracy Arm Inlet, then Juneau, the capital of Alaska, Skagway, by far my favorite city. It's amazing. Then Glacier Bay. Maybe the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. Back to Ketchikan and then down to Vancouver. If you like cruising, this is a super way to do it with fellow travelers, ideologically speaking. If you've never cruised before, this is a great way to start. And if you've been on Rebel News cruises, well, you don't want to miss this one. Again, for details, go to rebelnewscruise.com. It's next June, so just under a year away, but not too soon to order and to get the early bird discount. I'll see you at sea.
Great.
I'm so
That sounds
excited.
fun. Yeah, it
Have you
sounds
been-
fun.
Have
I
you
haven't
been to
been to
Alaska
Alaska.
before?
No.
Me neither. Me neither. And I just want to say what I'm so excited about. Like, I've made so many, I want to say post-COVID friends, which means freedom-minded friends since 2020. And we always talk about like, one day we got to get everybody from the freedom community to get together and just go on a vacation together. And that's what I'm feeling like this is the cruise. It's just get together. We've been, warning people. We've been stressing about things and we're all in this together for lack of public health words. And then we're going to be on this cruise all together. So I can't wait for that experience.
You know what else that I really like is the friendships that you see not only growing on these trips, but also lasting on these trips. So I've been on the Israel trips 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. Like I'm still in touch with the people that we went on the first trip with. And there's like this group chat that we're all in from the last trip where they like share stories and news. And it started off as a place where everybody could share the photos that they were taking.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just grew into this like huge friend group. And it's crazy. It feels like it is almost a year later. And that's what I love about this is you find sort of fellow travelers. And once the very first day of the trip, sometimes you don't know anybody, right? Like the people are coming from all over, but you eat dinner together, you go on little excursions together, and pretty soon you can see like, oh, they're becoming fast friends. And they're showing each other pictures of their grandkids and their daughter's wedding and stuff. And it's so cute and so sweet. And it's nice because it is kind of a safe place after you've been told that you're a terrorist crazy person for the last 4.5 years.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of actual terrorist crazy person, how's that for a segue?
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. Edmonton man was complicit in acts of terror abroad before returning to Canada years ago. This is an Edmonton man was recently jailed for holding membership to an Islamic terror group. Unsealed documents obtained exclusively by Global News show that Khaled Hussein, 29, was part of Al Muhajirun. I should apologize in advance for my pronunciation here. A terrorist group intent on spreading Sharia law worldwide. But it gets better, because not only was he a member of an outlawed terror group, but he had either participated in acts of terror or was somehow complicit in them. So the United Kingdom barred the group in 2010 because of the danger it poses. And the group claimed responsibility for the 2017 London Bridge killings and murder of Lee Rigby. He was beheaded on the street.
Oh, gosh.
And I guess he's born in Alberta, received a 5-year sentence last week for joining the extremist group in 2020, so 3 years after Lee Rigby was beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in Alberta, but it sounds like he spent much of his life in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, a hotbed for Islamic terror. The RCMP launched an investigation in 2019. He was sharing content by these radical Islamic preachers. And anyway, this is Hussein expressed support for jihad, mainly against Israel, and was a staunch supporter and member of the Islamic Thinkers Society. So the London Police Counterterrorism Command immediately arrested him last July when he arrived in the UK to meet his fiancée, a Russian woman living in Turkey. Anyways, he's from Edmonton, and that comes as absolutely no surprise to anybody, I think.
You mean coming from Canada or Edmonton specifically?
Coming from Canada.
Yeah.
we seem to not have a problem with terrorism supporters just running amok on the streets. I think probably this guy was kind of surprised. I think that he got in trouble for it, if I had to guess. Maybe if he just went on down to the university and said and did the things that he did in an illegal hobo squat, like what we experienced this summer, he probably would have gotten away with it. I think the problem was he went to the UK and then tried to meet with his fiance, and that's when things got a little bit sideways for him.
Yeah, well, at least we have all this information, but it makes you think, well, who else is out there? Who else could be there? It looks like, he was. Well,
what do you mean? We have the Toronto terror plot. The guy is seen hacking, wearing a black robe, hacking at a captive, like cutting up a person on camera. They let him into the country after that, and then allowed him and his son immigrate to Canada after he's seen an ISIS video.
That's what I mean. Yes. Like, who else like that is here? Kind of thing.
Lots.
Oh man.
Lots. And it's only going to get worse because we're taking in a bunch of Gazan refugees, and like 75% of them express support for Hamas atrocities. So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, if it ever gets better. Oh, yes. Exasperated sighs from both of us. Moving along. Speaking on the terror issue, let's just skip over to this one on Taylor Swift. Austrian teenagers arrested in Terror Swift. That's what her.
Oh no, that's gonna go viral.
I know. Austrian teenagers arrested in Taylor Swift concert terror plot. The main suspect, 19. Okay, let's not call them teenagers when they're 19. They're adults at 19. Said that he had planned the attack starting last month. Authorities said that the suspect had uploaded an oath of allegiance to the Islamic State in a post just weeks ago. And this was in Vienna, Austria.
And you pointed out something interesting, I think it was in yesterday's meeting, where you pointed out that that's a pattern. I mean, we know about the festival, that the Hamas attack on October 7th, but I didn't realize like this is an actual thing where they intentionally go to these young children having fun.
Yes. So we know that the 3 girls that were killed in the UK were at a Taylor Swift dance class. But this
Right.
is a pattern of Islamic radicals targeting Western young people having fun doing specifically Western style things like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift concerts. There's the Ariana Grande bombing of her concert in the UK. I think it was in 2017, where hundreds were hurt. Hundreds and hundreds were hurt. Could have been a lot worse. It was bad enough. Could have been a lot worse. That was Islamic terrorism. That was in London. Then we have, of course, as you rightly point out, the music festival in the desert that was attacked by Hamas out of Gaza, leaving 1,200 dead, and then a wave of terror flooding into Israel. Dial back, go to Bataclan. Bataclan was in, I think it was 2015 in France. And it was just like mass butchery at a concert. So this is something that they do. This is a terror tactic targeting Western young people when they're having fun and feeling safe, doing very Western things. Yeah.
And I wonder if there's like a connection to, I mean, you have Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, and then raving. Like I'm just picturing, women
Yeah, of course.
that are, usually dressed the way they dress at these kinds of concerts. Like I wonder if that's also why it's intentionally targeted at these things, because these women are, not dressed properly according to the Islamic states and things like that. But it's
Well, it's very Western, right? Like
Yeah.
it's very Western for it's Western style music, and it's those things that radical Islamists take disdain with about the West, that our children are free and our women don't dress the way they want them to. And anyway, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. Let's go to this crazy thing. So we've got 2 boxers, both genetically male, fighting each other, I think, for the championship. One is Algerian. I think the other one is Taiwanese. Both XY chromosomes, regardless of how they present outwardly. They are genetically male. But you know who's really to blame? If you ask the Algerian cheaters, excuse me, my nose is itchy. If you ask the Algerian cheaters who put up the Imen Khalif as their lady, wouldn't you know it? It's the Jews, according to them.
Oh, really? Of course.
Yeah. So speaking to the Sydney Morning Herald, Yassine Arab, the director of the Algerian Olympic and Sports Committee, said that the, quote, Zionist lobby, they want to break the mind of Imen. Now Imen is very strong. Yeah, I bet he is.
Yeah.
They don't want that a Muslim girl or Arabic girl goes higher in the level of the rank of female boxing. Do you really think that this is about us trying to keep Arab women down? I'm a big proponent of Arab women being free. I think most of us in the Western world are. This is not about Arab women. This is about an Arab genetic male. And I don't care what his ethnic background is, but I kind of do care that his chromosomes are XY.
I think the default to anything is racism. Just bring up racism and we'll get past this. And I think it's been successful for many years. I mean, someone poops on the beach, you say something about it, you're racist. You've got males fighting women in the Olympics and that's who's competing for gold. I mean, that's insane to actually say that. Just say they're racist. So it's not surprising to me, but I think the good news is that people are getting tired of it and they're seeing through it. And although this is horrible and I feel so bad for these female athletes and some of them, are doing the X symbol, taking a quiet stand as they're being defeated. In some ways, I'm glad that this is happening on such a big scale because we've been reporting on it locally. And of course, in the States, they're reporting on it. This is a widespread issue. It's happening in high schools. It's happening in colleges. It's happening at professional leagues, and now the whole world is looking here. And I don't know what your personal Facebook is like, but I see everybody is talking about this. And this, I do want to say, this is like a sad situation in the sense that there is complications. I believe that these athletes are XY, DSD, and I had to go back to biology to really look into it. So, I mean, if you have a child like that, it's very complex. How are you going to raise this child and things like that? But it's the associations, it's the unions that come together and let this. But this is a very rare, I think, for XY, DSD people, births, it's like 0.02% of the time. But now people are talking about this much broader issue and seeing just how blatantly unfair it is to have genetic biological males competing against females.
You know, I was talking about this with April Hutchinson, Canadian powerlifter, Team Canada powerlifter, one of those freaks of nature, in that she is just so good at her sport and so strong. But we were talking about this in that, yes, it is, if indeed this is a genetic disorder, a developmental sex disorder, I think they call it. That's sad. And I appreciate the parents not medically intervening on their infant child, because I mean, how much evidence do we need to show that that doesn't turn out well? It doesn't work well for little ones. It doesn't work well for adults. We probably shouldn't do it. So I appreciate that they did that. And it is sad when someone is born with, I don't want to say a birth defect, but something disordered with them. It's sad. I don't like it. But I also don't think that is the problem of the women whose faces this person is punching. It's not their problem. It's sad, and life isn't fair. And that's just the way it is. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I don't know. There's got to be a better way. And yes, I think this laid bare for a lot of people who hadn't really noticed or hadn't been swimming in the pool of the culture war like we do all the time. They just sort of dip a toe in now and then. Millions of people saw this. And who you going to believe, the activists or your lying eyes, when you saw what happened to that woman when she was one punched on TV? A lot of people are realizing that's unfair. And a lot of people who didn't give any thought to this, it was shoved in their face on TV. And I think now things might change.
And I don't know if we have the clip of the, I think it's the Taiwanese athlete, Lin, like punching the female in the back of the head, like over the ring. And people are like, this is completely illegal. Like, you know, it looks like the female boxer is just like fleeing for her life. And I believe she's one of the ones who did this after. So everybody's watching, all eyes on this. And I do think, although the Olympics is digging in their heels on that, I think they will think twice the next time around, right? I think sometimes people don't back down when they're in the thick of it, but then you really see the change the next time they have to make these decisions.
You know, I read somewhere, I think it was on like Yegwave or whatever, one of those like Edmonton specific places. And it was like Edmonton is in the running to get the gay Olympics. Apparently there's gay. And I was like, how will we know the difference? I'm like, great. I guess tourism, but how are we ever what tangibly is the difference at this point between the gay Olympics and the other Olympics?
That's a complex question.
Isn't it? Let's do one more story on this. Let's talk about Canada's incoming Human Rights Commissioner, and then I think we'll leave the other last one because we'll have to do probably an ad read, if that is the case, and then an ad break. So let's talk about this incoming Human Rights Commissioner. He was so incoming that he came in and went back out the other side. It's just like in the front door, out the back. He's put on leave over allegations of anti-Semitism. And sorry, I don't believe that the Liberals are not vetting these people. They are vetting them. They know what they're all about. They just don't think that we're smart enough to vet them also. As a graduate student, Human Rights Commissioner Burju Datani appeared on a panel alongside an Islamic fundamentalist. Now deleted post allegedly compared Israel to Nazi Germany. I find that so revolting when they compare Israel to Nazi Germany. And I see it all the time at these anti-Israel protests where they are like calling Israelis Nazis. And I'm like, you're calling somebody who quite likely had somebody who's, like grandparent, great-grandparent family died in a Nazi concentration camp simply for being Jewish. You have the gall to call them a Nazi? Are you kidding me? Anyways, this guy did that. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm doing all
I was just going to say it's intentional. The goal is to hit them where it hurts. And I think what's also shocking is just how everybody is accepting it. It's all good. I mean, let's remember that suspicious person holding the flag at the Freedom Convoy that everybody made this huge deal about. He's the only one wearing a mask at an anti-COVID restriction protest walking around, and of course his image goes around, and then you have these anti-Israel protesters walking around with it all the time. No one makes a big deal at all, but it's very sadistic to use that in your so-called activism to address this issue. But this is Canada. I'm not surprised about this, Commissioner. I mean, after all, we welcomed in a Nazi right into the House of Commons and claimed to have not known that was happening. So, I mean, can we really expect anything other than this?
Right. When they're like, he stood up to the Russians, and it's like, who? That means he was on the other side. The Russians were on our side. Just so dumb. Yeah. It says Datani shared the 2014 article, Palestinians are the Warsaw Ghetto prisoners of today. Just revolting. But later rejected claims he compared Israel to Nazi Germany. What you just did in 2015, when one 2015 article said he did, the post has since been deleted. So now the Liberals are looking into their appointment. And it's like, at what point should you be vetting these people?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm sure they look into them before. They just don't think that we are going to also.
Well, yeah, like, and what are we paying you for? It's like, okay, now we're going to do our job.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think we've got an ad read, then an ad break, and then we'll get into the last segment of the show. Okay. Our next message is from our partners at Rumble. Have you heard of the recent advertising scandal? Let me break it down. This is great, by the way. You really should know about this. The CEO of Rumble, Chris Pavlovsky, recently released an email from Inspire Brands and Dunkin' Donuts. The email explicitly states the right-wing culture of Rumble is too polarizing. The right-wing culture where you get to have thoughts and then say them. Okay. In other words,
and not be offended when other people have thoughts. Sorry.
Right. And not censor other people's thoughts.
Yeah,
in other words, Dunkin' Donuts, the blue-collar coffee people in the United States, has a problem with right-wing culture and wants nothing to do with it or Rumble. What do they think they are, Starbucks? So here's the solution. Stop buying products that don't support you and start supporting brands that support you. The competing coffee brand that we all need to get behind is Rumble's own 1775 coffee. Yeah. For a limited time, Rumble is offering buy 2 bags of coffee and get 1 for free. So go to 1775coffee.com and enter promo code, I love this, promo code Duncan to get this limited time deal. So that's great. I love that. Very, very Daily Wire of Rumble to get in a fight with a coffee company and then have your own coffee. Very well.
What an easy way to support free speech. I mean, we know that platform, that's what it stands for. And I would love to see it surpass YouTube. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be? But everybody's drinking coffee. Actually, I don't drink coffee, but everybody else is drinking coffee. Why not? I don't know. It's too bitter. But why not have Rumble Coffee. And I was just saying the other day, my list of where I can shop is dwindling. So I'm saving money. And even though I don't drink coffee, I used to get my chai tea at Starbucks, but they all in my area were the most brutal during lockdowns when I would try to go in with a mask. They would scream at me and so I found my go-to little coffee place, and I've never gone anywhere else ever since. And so, yeah, if you're already buying these things, why not just replace it with, the people you want to see succeed in life?
You know what?
Yeah.
Some people need a good old-fashioned Bud Light treatment.
Go woke,
To
go
get-
broke.
to straighten up and fly right. However, I should share a good news story. So during COVID, when the mask mandates fell in Alberta, I was happily trotting off to my local farm supply store, wherein I can get my canning supplies, my chicken feed, and some Wranglers. And I was headed into the store, and on the sign it said, we are still masking in our store. And I was like, the hell you are? So I took a picture of their sign, tweeted it, and I was like, my local PV Mart's breaking my heart. And they're still enforcing mask mandates after they've fallen in Alberta. Well, pretty quick, PV Mart head office reached out to me and said, oh, no, feel free to go maskless in that store. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of push to get these people to do the right thing. So I'm here for destruction of people who refuse to correct themselves and gentle correction. We'll see which one happens here. All right, let's hit a Rebel News ad break and then wrap up the show with the last little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Leapin' Lincoln J here with none other than the Menzoid. Say, Menzoid, we're enjoying a marvelous summer so far, but a lot of Rebel News viewers are asking, what sort of fashion tips do you have for them in the weeks ahead?
Well, let me tell you something, Leapin' Lincoln. There are all kinds of fashion trends out there for the summer of 2024. There are animal prints ranging from cheetah to zebra. There are those awesome straw hats. And of course, there's that classic teeny-weeny polka dot bikini. But if you don't have one particular item in your summertime ensemble, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again. Rebel News now has the hottest fashion accessories of the summer. I'm talking Trumpomania t-shirts for $39. I'm talking Trumpomania tank tops for only $35. And when summer's over, folks, no problem. We have Trumpomania sweatshirts and hoodies starting at $55. And brother, when you want to be styling and profiling as you drink your Morning Joe, we even have Trumpomania coffee mugs for just $29. It's all available at the rebelnewsstore.com. Hey, Leapin' Lincoln, try these verses on for size. Roses are red, violets are blue. Hey, Kamala, when Trumpomania hits the campaign trail, what you gonna do?
He waited his whole life to shoot that promo. You just know it. You just know it. When the Hulkster ripped his shirt at the RNC, David was like, now is my time. My time to shine. I must.
And what's even more concerning is, he already has like the outfit for it. Like, my understanding is he has this whole closet of like costumes and stuff that he's collected. So he's ready for it. He probably just ripped off what he was already wearing and already had it underneath.
Oh, I'm sure he has like a Mr. Dress Up style tickle trunk of costumes at home. And you have no idea the number of costumed capers I say no to just because I'm trying to save David Menzies from himself. It's always like, he always says like, oh, I could do this and I'll wear this costume. I'm like, why don't you just do that story, but no costume?
I think when I first met you in Menzies, that was literally what I saw happen between you. I came to the office, I think it was like for my interview. And I swear, I think you guys were taking photos and David was like, I want to wear this. And you were like, no, David, no. So anybody, I just want to say, David is not a show. That really is who David, who you see. He's not acting. He's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's actually more David in person. Like, you think that he's
Yes.
playing it up for the cameras? No, he's more David in person. And we're all going to be trapped on a boat with him next year. I'm kidding. He makes it exciting. Okay, let's go into what's happening in the UK a little bit. As you know, it's descending into, I think, civil chaos. I don't want to say civil war. We're not there yet, but it is
Unrest,
not
for
great.
sure.
It's unrest for sure. Thank you for that. And it's happening all over the UK now. It harkens back to, I think, decades of unmitigated immigration. And what is very clear, a two-tier justice system. 3 girls were killed at a Taylor Swift dance studio thing. And anyways, people feel like they are being treated unfairly in the justice system. And so people are rising up. But now, if you are showing pictures of people in public protesting against the government, and I wouldn't even call it riot footage, but just as you can see, this is not an image of a riot. This is what the government might call a riot because they're marching against the government. The government says the offense of incitement to racial hatred, which, as you know, only goes one way, publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, or which is intended or likely to start racial hatred, is illegal. And not only is it not, you can't share it, you can't retweet it. The Director of Public Prosecutions for England and Wales has issued a warning stating that sharing online material of riots could constitute an offense. So if you retweet, then you're publishing that, and then potentially you're committing an offense. And we do, listen to this, they can't deal with real crimes in the UK. We do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Oh, Mom, I went to police academy. What do? I police people's tone online. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification, arrest, and so forth. So it's really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them. This is outrageous, given that 1,400 working class girls were abused in a sex ring in the UK. The police were involved in it, either turning a blind eye or on the take. And nearly nothing happened to any of them. It was largely Muslim men taking advantage and sex trafficking white working class girls that nobody seemed to care about because they were working class girls from poor neighborhoods. Nobody cared about it. Those guys get off nearly scot-free, including the police involved in it all. And the people have had enough. Oh, is the Amazon man there? That's my dog barks.
Yes. I don't know what he's barking at.
So I get why people are angry. And the police, instead of dealing with sex rings and real crimes, they're scouring social media.
This is so terrifying, and I can't help but think about our online harms at all of that.
Yes.
Because, well, I want to back up a bit. We're already seeing this pattern when horrific crimes happen, where they won't show you the suspects sometimes. They won't describe them properly. So we see that now they're just saying, hey, you can't show what's really happening on social media, the most powerful tool to get the truth out. Depending on what social media you're on. And a lot of this is tied to the fact that you can get this information they don't want you to see on Twitter, because you have Facebook taking it down and Instagram taking it down, and everybody's participating on those platforms, but Elon's not. So what do? Well, let's use, I think in the UK, it's their electronic law that they have. And I saw that they even arrested the guy. They went into his house and arrested him, saying he's misusing it. So as terrifying as this is to watch, I almost feel like when Americans watch Canada and they're like, this could happen to us too, or it's on its way. Like, I feel like, hey, this could be us very quickly, where we're getting arrested for the same thing. And so that's why all eyes need to be on the UK right now.
You know, I'm glad you brought up that point about the police not sharing information about individuals involved in crime, because this
Annoying.
came up just this week here in Alberta. Can you go to, sorry to put you on the spot, Olivia, Corey Morgan's X account? Corey Morgan, he's a columnist with the Western Standard. And the reason this is so important to him is because it's literally his community that this is happening in. So 2 workers for, I think it was the county of Rocky View. I think one worked for Fortis, which is like the electrical company, and the other one worked for the county of Rocky View. Both were shot, one was killed. Then the police start tweeting and sending out emergency alerts saying that these guys had been shot and that there was a suspect vehicle.
Yeah.
Provided no information about the suspect vehicle until way too late, and zero information about the people we're supposed to be looking out for. Be on the lookout for these people. Okay, I will. What do they look like?
Yeah. Olivia, I think if you search father on his page, you might see a picture of it, because the man who died was a father, right?
Yeah.
I think I did see that. No, it's horrific. Like, anyways, and now to take away access of video of things happening live. I see people in the UK, everybody's got their phone out right now at the riots or even at the demonstrations and things like that. Some people are walking, women in particular, because they're frightened to just walk down the streets, and they're just holding their phone. They're not saying anything, but they're just kind of showing like, this is what it's like to walk with, men oogling them. Yeah, there he is right there. So very horrible.
Yeah.
Imagine this is your loved one who just died, and the police put out the information and withhold things that can identify the killer. Like, how does that feel? Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and like, tell us to be on the lookout. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Look out for whom? What am I looking for? How many people, like, let's say this is a like a Nova Scotia shooting style event.
Right.
Where these guys, we didn't know where these guys are going from place to place to place shooting people. They would never tell us who they look like. No, we're country people. If somebody comes into your driveway in a pickup truck and asks for help, you help them, right?
I don't know. Do you still do that nowadays? It's kind of scary.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I got a long driveway for a reason. Let's go on to this, on the matter of censorship, because this is still on the censorship issue. Top court refuses to hear Jordan Peterson, I think one of the most influential thinkers in the entire Anglosphere, Jordan Peterson's appeal on social media training. The man is, besides all the other courses that he gives, the self-authoring courses and things like that, he could give a course on social media. And yet these people who cannot muster 200 followers on X are going to re-educate him, send him to the intellectual gulag because they don't like the things that he said online. He tweets, "The courts rejected my appeal regarding the decision of the Ontario College of Psychologists to subject me to indefinite re-education." Yeah, there's no term. I guess they keep re-educating him until it sticks. Like, the beatings will continue until morale improves. And he said it's primarily because he posted publicly opposing, quote, "the butchers and liars subjecting children to sterilization and mutilation. I'm also required to pay whatever court costs the college accrued in relation to his appeal."
Oh my gosh.
He says
I
he's
wonder
now
how
bereft.
much that is.
Yeah. So
The fact that they won't even hear it. Like
Yeah.
they're not even pretending to go along with anything. They don't want to hear it. That's what's most concerning. And that's why, I mean, you mentioned that the comment was related again to the butchering. I'll say the same thing, the butchering of little kids before their frontal cortex is developed and they even know who they are. That's when you see the courts or the kangaroo courts come together and really just try to shut out the public debate on this issue and everything like that. So again, I'm not surprised, but I was hoping that with Jordan Peterson that maybe we would see a change because so many people are following this case, right?
Yep. Yep. Okay. I see that I skipped over an entire section of
Just looking at it.
topics at the very beginning of the show, and I think we should go back to them.
Okay.
Because they're important and they're about the good work that we're doing here, and it's about well, there's a lot of stuff, and I feel bad because I think I was probably just really excited to have the Drea on the show instead of David taking us on some strange pop culture detour. Let's go way back up to the top of the show, Olivia, and I'm really sorry. The reason Drea is on the show is because David Menzies was out in Hamilton this morning, and we thought with the traffic caused by out of control immigration to the Toronto area, we didn't think David Menzies would be able to get back from Hamilton to the studio in Toronto in time to do the show with me. So thankfully Drea jumped on. So let's show people what David was doing this morning. He was at a Pierre Poilievre press conference asking questions to Pierre Poilievre about, I think it was immigration. So let's hear it.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. David Menzies with Rebel News. Staying with the theme of bringing home our jobs, the unemployment rate for young people aged 15 to 24 has jumped in the past year from 10.6% to 13.5%. That's nearly an increase of 3% in just 1 year. There are 422,000 young people unemployed. And yet the Trudeau Liberals have brought in more than 750,000 temporary workers. And these workers are taking the jobs that normally young Canadians would start out with, fast food jobs, convenience store jobs, etc. Why are we bringing in cheap foreign workers to undercut young Canadians just so that massive corporations like Tim Hortons can save a few bucks an hour? And what would a Conservative government do to reverse this trend?
Thank you very much. Look, Trudeau's destroyed our entire immigration system, and he has expanded the temporary foreign worker program by well over 200% at a time when we're losing jobs. When I was responsible for that program, in 2015, we had only 60,000 temporary foreign workers. Now it's close to 200,000. And on top of that, you have international students who are effectively temporary foreign workers that came under the wrong stream. Our temporary foreign worker program should only be available to fill jobs that employers have proven beyond a doubt cannot be filled by Canadians. It should never be used to bring in low-wage workers from poor countries to take jobs away from or suppress the wages of Canadian workers. I challenge Canadian business to hire Canadian workers first. And I challenge the government to end the chaos in the temporary foreign worker program, bring the numbers down, and allow Canadians to get good, solid paying jobs that will give them enough money to buy an affordable home and food in safe neighborhoods. Thank you.
What a great question that was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So timely.
You know, I just did a story on this issue today. I had access to information documents. I'm not going to give too much away, But there's this group called the Century Initiative, and it is their mission to fill Canada up with people by 2100. They want our population to be 100 million by 2100. And as Tucker Carlson says, this is a lovely place and it's almost empty of people. And it's wonderful. It's great because of that. That's why people want to come here. It's because there's nobody here, like especially where I live. And they just want to pack it full of people. What, turn us into Bangladesh? No, thank you. I like it here the way it is. But this is who the government's listening to. Like the government in the documents that I got, they are perfectly aware that public sentiment is changing on immigration, not just changing, has changed. And that economists are saying, not only is this going to hurt GDP, per capita GDP is going to get driven down, wages are going to get driven down. They just don't care. They literally just don't care.
Well, out here, we have this sort of land initiative, and I've been doing a little research. So I will do a report on it. So I can't speak completely to it. But what I do know is they're going to these areas, these suburb areas, and they are offering the whole cul-de-sac just a ton of money, like way over asking price to buy them out. And then it looks like the plan is to put a whole bunch of high rises and things like that. So you're out here in BC in areas like White Rock, around that area, you're going to see like huge changes in what areas used to be in just maybe, I don't know, 5-10 years. And so some houses are holding out, and then as soon as everybody's on board, that whole area is changed. But I'm also getting reports in related to David's question specifically, where in rural BC areas, you have these young people unable to get a job at Walmart, for example. And then when you go to Walmart, it's all people who are not born there. They're not locals. Sometimes they're having conversations, not even in English. Yet, 17-year-old who wants to go to university, family's poor, and can't pay for them to get to university, can't get a job at the same place. So that's another thing I'm working on. And there's also the workers who work with them that are locals that feel like they can't say anything, and they feel like there's this sort of unfair hire system, and in some ways kickbacks that seem to happen. So that's why I love David said, like, why is this all happening? Why are we shortcutting our own youth and young people just to give Tim Hortons or the Walmarts of the world a break?
Well, and as our young reporter Sarah Stock took to the streets, she pointed out that there are more foreign workers in this country than young Canadians looking for jobs. Like, all we have to do is cut the number of temporary foreign workers and we fix the unemployment problem for young people. Like, young people can't find a good paying job. And everybody seems to forget one of the most basic rules of economics: supply and demand.
Yeah.
If there's too many workers, wages go down. That's just what happens, right? Like, you have to make the worker scarce. That's what drives up wages. Nobody seems to understand that in the government or in Justin Trudeau's government actually doesn't care. They don't seem to care, as I've seen from these documents that I have. People are telling them, you're hurting wages. You're hurting per capita GDP. People don't like this. And they're saying to these groups like the Century Initiative, well, can you help us convince people to like it?
Yeah. Jeez.
Anyway, okay, let's, speaking of immigration problems, Andrew Scheer, whom I like better as an MP than I ever did as a leader. Okay, sorry. Olivia tells us that
We're talking too much, talking too long.
yeah, no.
No.
She has another ad read for us. Is that right, Olivia? Okay, perfect. It's back again from our friends at Rumble and 1775coffee.com. It's time to say goodbye to Starbucks and say hello to Rumble's 1775 coffee. And might I suggest you put it in your Rumble tumbler or your Rumble water bottle. It's just a hot and cold one I got. Enjoy very much. Unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech and is unapologetic about it. Visit 1775coffee.com. Use the coupon code STUDIO to get 15% off. The coffee comes in medium and dark roast. It also comes in pea berry, which is very similar to Kona coffee. In other words, this stuff is premium. Click the link in the live chat or the description. You can also go directly to 1775coffee.com. Use the coupon code STUDIO to get 15% off today. So that's that. And let's go back to, like I said, I like Andrew Scheer much more as an MP than I did as a leader of the party. And he has come out hard on the issue of how on earth did someone featured in a terrorism video hacking up a crucified captive end up inside of our country after he was featured in that video. Let's show that clip, please.
Evidence exists that the father was involved in a horrific torture attack in an ISIS video. Shortly after the events in the video, this individual was admitted into Canada and later was granted citizenship by the Trudeau government. This is a colossal failure of Trudeau's national security system. Canadians have a right to know what went wrong. How did this individual gain entry into Canada and obtain Canadian citizenship?
Will we ever know, though?
No. And I want to know what will be done differently if, and hopefully if we have a new government formed as well. But no, we'll never get an answer on that, what went wrong, but we should. The people should be asking.
And the people, and I think we'll get to this later, or maybe we'll show it on the way out of the show, but the people tasked with investigating this stuff do, I'm going to use farmer language here, do a really piss poor job of doing it. So the ethics commissioner, the guy who cleared Randy Boissonneau of not doing business while text messages suggest he absolutely was doing business. By the way, his business was a PPE import company while Randy Boissonneau was effectively voting to lock people down and enforce mask mandates on federally regulated industries, thus increasing the value of the business he says he wasn't running, even though there are text messages. Ask Randy. Randy's in Vancouver while Randy Boissonneau was at a cabinet retreat in Vancouver. Like, the ethics commissioner only investigated 1 day's worth of text messages. They're like, oh, there's no communication on these days, so I guess it's all a big misunderstanding, and cleared him. So committee continues to investigate, and they keep finding more and more stuff, which is to say you cannot trust these political appointees to investigate this stuff. I don't even know who would investigate the problems with the immigration ministry. Immigration bureaucrats, political appointees, they are not doing their job. They're the ones who let the guy in. They're going to investigate themselves and find themselves innocent. Oh, wow.
It's ridiculous.
Last on immigration problems, although it has been alleged to be a big conspiracy theory about people defecating on Wasaga Beach, and I believe the problem is also at Sauble Beach as well. The Premier Doug Ford has spoken out about it. So the story goes. Wasaga Beach, people are digging holes and just having a poop on the beach and covering it back up like, I don't know, like sea turtles laying their eggs. And
the poor kids making a sand castle. Can you imagine? They start digging in the sand.
So the story goes, according to witnesses, the people are of Southeast Asian descent. And
racist.
I guess I am. I'm just pointing out what the witnesses said. Don't come for me. That's what the witnesses say. And it's people from all different backgrounds saying it, including people of Southeast Asian descent. Now the premier's weighed in. So here's what
right.
Premier Doug Ford had to say.
Premier, the town of Wasaga Beach is formally asking for your help to clean up Wasaga Beach Provincial Park as the town battles what its mayor says are misleading social media posts claiming people are defecating in the sand. What do you make of these posts?
Yeah, they don't have 100% proof, but we've given Wasaga Beach $1 million to build bathrooms and build, and hire more people. But I'd be more than happy to talk to the mayor. It's a very popular beach. And again, they have no proof that people are pooping in the park per se. So
just a follow-up.
It's pretty bad if they are.
In particular, Wasaga is asking for the province to ban tents in the parks, mirroring its bylaw on town-owned waterfront lands. What steps are you prepared to take to help the town improve its image, as Wasaga says it's been gravely harmed by this misinformation?
See, the problem with that, if we ban tents in provincial parks, that's just not going to cut it across the board, right? You can't pick and choose. I think people are respectful enough that, folks, don't be pooping on the beach. Simple as that, man. We have no proof of it either. In this social media, they get rolling on the social media. So, yeah, I just, they have to work with the folks here.
Don't go pooping on the beach. I want that on a bumper sticker.
Only in Canada. And I think it was Amy Ham, who we've reported on for her own plight that she goes through. She posted something like, "Congratulations, Canada, you've made pooping on the beach trend for 3 weeks straight." But I thought, I think it was one of our reports where I thought that we did confirm that the city said that this, or the bylaw said that it had been an ongoing issue.
Oh, for sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just
They
flip
confirmed.
this. It's going back to it's in simco.com. If you put Wasaga residents bad beach behavior in the headline, it's literally the mayor who says it's not happening. I think it's horrible. Bad beach behavior bedeviling Wasaga residents and the mayor. The OPP and Ontario Parks commit to more enforcement and effective and integrated relationship. And it is related to littering, defecation on the beach. And so that's back in, I guess it's 2021. And there's also, I think it was 2020. People pooping on Colborne, Pleasant Beach, a sanitary concern.
So
this is not new.
No.
So it's a thing. It's just, as Doug Ford says, and I agree with him for once, don't go pooping on the beach.
Yeah. But I noticed
But now
he said
to pretend
that
it's not happening is crazy, because Doug Ford has been complaining about it for years.
Yeah, why'd
So,
you give
whatever.
$1 million for washrooms? Like, where'd that come from? But first he starts out, he said, they don't have 100% proof. It's like, what do you want them to do? Pick up the poop, put it in a little container, what's 100% proof? And they have testimony of people who are witnessing it happen. They're not going to carry the poop, and not everybody's going to catch it on video at a beach where you're in your bathing suit. You don't have your phone in your pocket.
Like, what are you gonna have to get a stool sample to prove that it's human? Like, I don't, what on earth? What have we become? We're not a real place anymore. Let's go to some of these chats, and then I think we'll go out on some committee testimony. I'll key it up before we go, and then we can just play it if you folks want to watch it. I've been subjecting myself to I think it's ethics committee, public accounts committee hearings on, it was initially supposed to be on Arrive Scam. They called the Liberals called the ethics commissioner to testify at Arrive Scam hearings. Neat little trick the Liberals played, because the ethics commissioner actually has no jurisdiction over public bureaucrats. The ethics commissioner has jurisdiction over political appointees and elected officials. So there's not much that he could testify to about Arrive Scam, So the Conservatives are like, well, while you're here, let's ask about the Green Slush Fund and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. My favorite
So-
tweet that, oh, sorry.
No,
Are you
go ahead.
done? No, my favorite tweet that I saw you share that I think was from it, and I can't remember her name. Is it Khalid too? Or was it her name too, or whatever, where she drops the F-bomb or whatever?
Ikra Khalid. Or
Yeah, that
Ikra
was getting
Khalid.
spicy. I'm like, this was actually a very interesting moment, but that was
She's a-
ridiculous.
She's a crazy person, and I think she only exists at. I can't imagine that the Liberals sent her to committee because she's so sharp. They sent her there to be annoying and waste everybody's time, which is what, and to be ill-behaved, which is she. If that is what she's there to do, she is doing it well, because it's nothing but interruptions.
Yeah.
She's swearing. She told, I think it was Michael Barrett, Michael Barrett to F you. And Larry
Yes.
Brock was like, she just
What
told
the-
him to F you. What is going on? She's like, point of order. When
Yeah.
somebody's talking, she's like, point of order. And they're like, okay, what's your point of order? And she's like, never mind.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Maybe we'll show that on the, let's just show this. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's so crazy.
Those orders come from? Did they come from Mr. McDonald, Mr. Utano? Did they come from Ms. O'Gorman or Mr. Osofsky? Did they come from a deputy minister? Did they come from the minister? Where did they come from?
Usually when unionized employees are working, they'll get it either from their manager, their director, their colleagues. In my case, I worked with CBSA IT managers, CBSA IT directors. I dealt with them all. And I just put into place a package that was sent over from their IT technical requirements over to CBSA procurement.
And so
Yes, go
what
ahead.
would be the most senior level that would would have given you direction?
And you were the one who stuck your neck out a little bit. Well, I
Okay, you
appreciate
gotta go
you
back a
withdrawing
little
it.
bit.
Your point of
Such snide remarks.
Is this
Would
one
you
in
Thank you.
order?
All right. Let's
Maybe she
This
didn't find that.
devolves
Ladies and
into
gentlemen,
we're
nonsense.
getting through the meeting, and if we stay on track, we'll have everyone out of here very shortly. Mr. Barrett, you've got 40 seconds.
Fascinating that Ms. Khalid wants to paint a picture.
So no,
Ms.
you
Daly.
can't.
No,
No, Mr. Chair, he
hold
can't be representing me. at
Miss
this point.
Khalid,
She knew.
Miss Khalid, Mr. Barrett can tee off his questions to the witness however he likes, and you were the one who stuck your neck out a little bit. While I appreciate you withdrawing it, your point of order, Mr. Barrett has the floor for a short 40 seconds, which is longer than we've been discussing this point. Mr. Barrett, 40 seconds, please.
So Ms. Khalid wanted to make the point, Ms. Daly, that it's just the public servants like yourself who are solely responsible for this.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, I
I
am.
just witnessed Miss Khalid, under her breath, use the words F you. And I'm not going to use the full term for that, but it was very, very clear to me. I can look at her literally within 5 feet. I'm asking her to reflect on what she said, apologize, and withdraw.
Ms. Khalid, I did not catch anything. Would you have any comment you'd like to make?
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if you want to consult Hansard or what the testimony has been or what's been recorded, but I think Mr. Brock is getting a little bit ahead of himself.
Okay, Mr. Brock, your member has the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's warm in Ottawa. This meeting has been proceeding exceptionally well. I would like to get through Ms. Daly's testimony, who's come in here today to talk about her experience. Mr. Barrett, you have 30 seconds. The floor is yours.
Back it up to the start of the interruptions and we'll take the full 45. So Ms. Daly, Ms. Khalid has gone to great pains to try and say that it's not her government that's responsible for the $60 million fiasco of Arrive scam, which saw Liberal insiders getting paid while Canadians had to pay for it. They want to lay the blame at the feet of yourself and other public servants at your level. Is the minister not ultimately responsible for what happens in the department? Yes or no?
A minister is accountable to Parliament for the actions of their department or
Thank
agency.
you very much, Ms. Daly. And that's, Chair, exactly why this Liberal government needs to be held accountable. And that's what our function is here, even if Ms. Khalid and her Liberal colleagues don't like it.
That was quite a long
Thank you
stretch
very
there.
much. We will now turn to Ms.
That's good.
Hepner. You have
So just to
So-
tell, she's ridiculous. The woman is crazy. And just to tell everybody what was happening there, that was Diane Daly. She was named by Christian Firth of GC Strategies as the person he was communicating with at CBSA. She's just a mid-level manager. She's not a decision maker at CBSA. What happened was Christian Firth, the guy, the one of two people making $60 million on a Rive scam, he refused to testify at committee. So he was held in contempt and called to the House of Commons to testify in a nearly unprecedented move. And when he went to committee and refused to give evidence, they called him to the House of Commons. In between then, when he wouldn't name names, he went to the House of Commons and he named names. He named Diane Daly. She is saying, they named me because they needed to name somebody, because the Liberal government wanted a sacrificial lamb. She's kind of prickly and by the book, and she refused to give false testimony previously, and she was subjected to a 3.5 hour inquisition by her managers when she refused to give false testimony. So when she refused to give false testimony, guess who Christian Firth names as the person at CBSA to be the fall guy, fall girl? Her.
Of course.
So she's there saying, I'm here to testify. I am going to lose my job after I give this testimony, but I have to tell the truth. And it was because she refused. Yeah. And so as you see there, she's a frail little lady. She's undergoing cancer treatment during all of this. So she's going to lose her job. She's undergoing cancer treatment. She fell that morning. That's why she has a bandage on her head.
Oh my gosh. That's horrible.
And she's the one these jerks threw under the bus. Her managers who interrogated her for 3.5 hours were the ones getting kickbacks from GC Strategies. They were being wined and dined by GC Strategies. She was getting nothing. She was just a prickly middle manager and they needed a fall guy. So they picked her.
Evil, evil, evil.
And so anyway, that makes what Iqra Khalid did even worse, because that woman is there. She's sick. She's tired. She's going to be unemployed. She's a middle manager in the bureaucracy. She's not a public person. She was in the middle of a firestorm, and Iqra Khalid couldn't even behave herself long enough to shut her mouth so this woman could testify.
And the smile on her face too while she did
Smug.
the interruptions. Just smug. Yeah.
Smug, smug, smug. So that's what's happening in the House of Commons. Anyway, let's get to the chats. We're like an hour and a half into the show today, but I was just happy to talk to Drea.
Yeah.
We've got a few, and then we can wrap up the show. So one from Ryerson Gary says to us, don't knock Starbucks.
Is that a threat?
They're so painfully woke. They have the best Wi-Fi, as Gary points out. You can always get service in the parking lot when you're desperate. No purchase necessary. Okay, that's fair.
I have done that before, so I'll give you that.
Yes. Do we have another chat, Olivia? Or is that it? Okay, great. Well, not great that we only had one chat. It was from Gary, who is a longtime viewer, longtime chatter, supporter of the show here, and we appreciate him. I think that's it. Drea, thanks so much for doing the show with me today and covering for David so he could put some strong questions to the presumed future prime minister of this country. Thanks to everybody who works behind the board and behind the scenes to have the show ready for you when you need to watch it, wherever you want to watch it. Thanks to anybody who pitched in with chats. If we missed any, we're really sorry. Thanks to our partners at Rumble. And as David Menzies always says, stay sane. Balls belong in women's sports, just as long as they're not attached to a biological male. Did you see the shameful moment in the Paris Olympics when Italian female boxer Angela Carini had to forfeit her match just seconds in because she was boxing against a biological male?
Solid straight right hand from Poilievre there. about being pulled off by the referee.
It was shocking. Angela said she had to quit because she had never been punched so hard. Now, Rebel News, you know, we've been fighting to keep women's spaces safe, especially women's sports. If you agree with us, then you will love our new t-shirt design. So you can proudly say that you think women shouldn't have to be beaten up by biological males in their own sports. Our design says no human balls in women's sports. It's a bit cheeky, and it lets people know you stand with Angela and all the other female athletes like her who deserve better. Go to rebelnewsstore.com now to order your t-shirt today.